Thinking about whether I'm a man or a woman, being whawhawhine, I feel that I've never had that struggle within me.
Whawhawhines, they have the flair and the creativity of the female gender, but they also have the brutal strength of the male gender.
If I was a whawhawhine, I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. It's just that I wasn't a whawhawhine.
Whawhawhines, we know that we're boys at the end of the day, but some portray the femininity as stronger than others.
They assume the characteristics of both genders.
Quite a lot of the memories I had related to this is all the physical abuse. A lot of pulling my pants down, you know, tying me up, beating me up in front of everybody. That sort of behaviour I got used to, you know, being told in front of people, my own friends, and that I'm a girl. It was a very lonely time, and I don't think a lot of people knew how lonely it was.
Phineas, Yamania and Leo are all Samoan. They were all born boys and now live as far from ordinary men. What bonds them together is that they were all raised neither boy nor girl, but as whawhawhine.
In Samoan society, there's a lot of expectations from a young age when you're born. How you're going to grow up and you're going to fulfill a certain role. Samoan society was always about the division of labour. For whawhawhines, so they're in a unique place in Samoan society. Hence the respect and the acceptance that's very prevalent in today's Samoan society. This is not something that, you know, Samoans just woke up and said, oh hey, let's just embrace our whawhawhine brethren. No, they didn't. This happened like a long time ago. They were very much entrenched into the part of Samoan culture.
And this isn't some weird, antiquated cultural practice. It's happening right now.
There's a lot of whawhawhines. I'd probably say closer to maybe around between 2,000 and 3,000 in Samoa alone, not counting the whawhawhines in the United States of America, in New Zealand, in Australia, and in Europe as well.
Yamania is the technical director of the Samoan Whawhawhine Association. She estimates there's at least 100 whawhawhine currently living in Australia.
Because I come from a Samoan family of 7 boys, my parents naturally wanted a girl somewhere. So I'm born the 6th of the 7, so I'm the second youngest. And I think my parents were expecting to have a girl to assist my mother and my father in gender roles, and that didn't happen.
Being a whawhawhine, or the practice of males adopting female gender roles and the attributes traditionally associated with women, is deeply embedded in much of Polynesia. There's no hard and fast rules on how it works. Some boys like Leo don't feel the whawhawhine spirit, but may be nominated as the whawha in a family of all boys by the mother. That doesn't always work out for the best.
What my mother at that time was doing to me that was, for me, was a bit weird, is dressing me, putting me in lavas and flowers in my ears, and so she'd get me to pose in some things, and it's like I'm not posing as a guy, I'm posing as a girl. I think that sort of behaviour of my mother towards me really ruffled a lot of the boys' feathers. You know, a lot of physical violence, you know, so they wanted me to come back to manhood.
Yeah, well, that idea with whawhawhine being a result of there being no females in the family and you're pushed or raised as a female. In some families that may be the case, but it depends on the family. In my case, it's the complete opposite. My family supported me because it was just myself, I was just being me. So they were very supportive and loving, and the bond of the family has always remained very important to me. And I think it's very important to a lot of other whawhawhine as well.
Others, like Phineas, feel they are born naturally with the spirit of whawhawhine, and despite being raised more effeminate, end up presenting as men.
Whawhawhine, we know that we're boys at the end of the day, but some portray the femininity as stronger than others, I suppose. I mean, I'm comfortable living as I am and dressing the way I am, but I have the that femininity that a Fa'afafine has.
And then there's the likes of Yamania. From the word go, boys groomed to behave in the manner of a woman. Yamania identified as female from a very young age and has always lived, dressed and behaved as a woman. She recently underwent gender reassignment surgery.
I had a great upbringing in Samoa. Very strict parents, very good work ethics that were instilled in us. They were very encouraging in terms of who I was. There was never any punishment or any restriction in terms of you had to be a certain way or act a certain way. And because of that understanding and that love and support, I was allowed to feel that it's okay to be different.
But in all cases, if your parents decide to raise you as the Fa'afafine in your family, you are expected to take on female gender or labour roles.
In this Australian community that we live in now, it's about honouring the commitment to a child's gender. If this child is born male, then your commitment as a parent is to raise the child as male. Same thing if that child is born female. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's how, in Western society, that's how we raise our children. By the very same token, there is nothing absolutely wrong with Samoan parents has a child that they believe is Fa'afafine and raising that child as a Fa'afafine.
This leaves the question, who do Fa'afafines partner up with? Again, there's no hard and fast rules here.
It's so open that, you know, you can't really say it depends on the individual Fa'afafine, whereas it's more common for Fa'afafine to go with men in Samoa, in that Samoan context. It might not work here, and it probably won't work here in Australia. And then the heterosexual men that have relationships with Fa'afafine, because of that feminine spirit, and they're not seen as being gay themselves, because they're having a relationship with, inverted commas, a woman.
What I went through and everything, I think it was it definitely, of course, plays part of my personal development, you know, to have gone through that. It really affected me a lot, and I don't think my family know that during this time I became a petrol sniffer. So on record, for the first time, I'm saying that I was sniffing petrol at this time from the ages of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I think that's where I was escaping to during the times of physical abuse and all of the mental sort of abuse.
But Leo was determined to prove to his family and his peers that he wasn't a Fa'afafine. Age 11, he found football. By 21, he was playing for the Cronulla Sharks.
Now they've got to support each other. Tanoi hits the line. Tanoi's got a chance, but Davidson...
So I use football for me too. I think more importantly for me to prove to them that I'm just as good as them, and it got me into rugby league, first grade.
Lasting just one season, Leo left the game in less than a year.
I just walked out of the sport, walked out of everything. Cold, left them cold. I realised that I had proven all the points, my masculinity, and so I just realised I wasn't doing it for me. I was living this lie really, and I needed to end it straight away, and I did it.
Fa'afafine is just me. It's not like, yeah, I just feel great, I feel fantastic, and I see that the future is positive, and I believe that all the opportunities that exist for other people exist the same for me.
To be honest, I wouldn't want anyone to go through this because, in all honesty, it's a crime. And I just feel sorry for all the Fa'afafines that are probably getting that, you know, abuse at the moment.
I think, yes, we are misunderstood. And a lot of that is due to the representation that happens to Fa'afafines in the media. And every Tom, Dick and Harry that gets on a plane and comes to Samoa and says, I want to tell your story, will always skewer it towards the sexual aspect of it, because it's titillating, because it's exciting, because it sells. Who they sleep with, what they have between their legs, it really doesn't matter at all.